Beloved brothers and sisters in Christ, imagine with me for a moment the sound of a phone ringing in the middle of the night, an unexpected piece of news, a farewell we never had the chance to say. Loss hits us like a tsunami, sweeping away everything we thought was solid in our lives. In these moments, even our once unshakable faith may waver. Today I want to share a story with you. A story of pain, yes, but also of hope. A journey that C.S. Lewis, one of the greatest Christian thinkers of the 20th century, walked and documented in his works. A journey that many of us, unfortunately, will have to face at some point in our lives. But why talk about this? Why stir up wounds that may still be open? Because, my dear ones, our faith does not exempt us from pain, but equips us to face it. Because Jesus himself wept at the tomb of Lazarus, showing us that it is possible to be divine and still deeply feel the pain of loss. In this video, we will delve into Lewis's reflections on grief, intertwining them with the eternal truths of Scripture. We will explore how, even in the midst of the deepest pain, we can find comfort in the Father's embrace and hope in the promise of resurrection. This is not just a lesson on how to deal with loss. It is an invitation to a journey of transformation, where our pain can become a testimony to God's love and the strength He grants us. So my brothers and sisters, I challenge you, open your hearts to this message. Whether you are going through grief now, faced it in the past, or are preparing for an uncertain future, allow Lewis's words and biblical truths to touch your soul. And don't stop here. After watching this video, commit to an act of compassion. Reach out to someone you know is suffering. Share this message. Be an agent of healing and hope in a world that so desperately needs it. Remember, on the cross, Jesus transformed the ultimate symbol of loss and pain into a beacon of hope and redemption. He can do the same in our lives. Are you ready for this journey? Let us begin, confident in the love of the one who conquered even death. Have you ever felt like the world has stopped spinning? Like suddenly, the colors have lost their brightness and the air has become too heavy to breathe? This is how loss hits us, like a thief in the night, stealing not just someone we love, but also a piece of ourselves. Imagine walking down a busy street, surrounded by hurried people, all absorbed in their own lives. The sounds of the city, horns, conversations, the constant buzz of urban life, seem distant, muffled. It's as if you are in an invisible bubble, separated from the rest of the world by an impenetrable layer of pain. Your steps are heavy, heart even heavier. Every breath is a reminder of the absence that now defines your existence. At this very moment, somewhere in the world, someone is experiencing the same overwhelming feeling. Perhaps it's a mother who lost her child, a husband who said goodbye to his companion of decades, or a friend who watched their lifelong confidant depart. Loss does not discriminate. It touches all of us at some point. In our digital age, where we instantly share every moment of joy, pain of loss can feel even more isolating. We scroll through feeds filled with smiles and celebrations, while our inner world silently crumbles. How do we explain this emptiness to a world that seems to always be celebrating? It is in this moment of profound loneliness that we find an unexpected companion. C.S. Lewis. Yes, the same Lewis who enchanted us with the magical adventures of Narnia. But beyond the talking lion and the magical wardrobe, Lewis was a man who knew the pain of loss intimately. He not only experienced it, but had the courage to explore it, question it, and finally share it with us through his word. Lewis lost his mother when he was just a boy. Decades later, already a renowned author and scholar, he experienced the searing pain of loss again when his wife, Joy, passed away. It was from this experience that one of his most profound and moving works, A Grief Observed, was born. In this book, Lewis does not offer easy answers or superficial comforts. Instead, he invites us to dive with him into the depths of grief. He shows us that it's okay to feel anger, confusion, even doubt, that our pain is a testament to the love we feel, and denying it would be to deny the very essence of that love. But why revisit Lewis's journey through grief? Why dive into these turbulent waters when the world tells us to move on? Because in Lewis's raw honesty, we find a mirror for our own pain. In his words, we discover that we are not alone in our struggle. And in his journey, we glimpse a path through the dark valley of loss. In the following pages, we will explore together how Lewis navigated this rugged terrain of grief. We will see how his reflections, written decades ago, still resonate powerfully in our hearts today. And perhaps, by the end of this journey, we may not only better understand our own pain, but also find a thread of hope, glimmer of light on the horizon. So, dear reader, if you are carrying the weight of loss, know that you are not alone on this journey. Take my metaphorical hand, and let us walk together along the paths Lewis trod before us. Who knows what we may discover in the process? No one ever told me that grief felt so much like fear, wrote C.S. Lewis in his book, A Grief Observed. These words, written decades ago, resonate with a surprising relevance in our current reality. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by images of happiness and success on social media, the pain of loss can seem even more isolating and disorienting. Imagine yourself scrolling through your Instagram feed, seeing photos of smiling families, celebrations, and moments of joy, while you are enveloped in a cloud of sadness that seems impenetrable. It's as if there are two parallel worlds, the outside world, which continues to spin relentlessly, and your inner world, which seems to have stopped in time. This contrast can intensify the sense of loneliness and inadequacy that often accompanies grief. Lewis perfectly captured this sense of fear that permeates grief. It's the fear of the unknown future, now irrevocably altered by loss. It's the fear of forgetting, the sound of your loved one's laughter, the touch of their hand, the smell of their favorite perfume. It's the fear of moving forward, as if every step forward is a betrayal of the memory of the one who is gone. In our current society, where productivity and positivity are often exalted above all else, expressing this fear and sadness can seem taboo. We are often pressured to get over it quickly, to move on, as if grief is an inconvenient phase we must get through as quickly as possible. But Lewis reminds us that this fear, this pain, is an integral part of the process. It is deeply human, and above all, it is real. The author invites us to recognize and validate these feelings. He writes, "Pain then is part of this world. I cannot imagine it without it." This perspective allows us to see grief not as something to be avoided or quickly overcome, but as a journey to be lived, no matter how painful. In our digital age where instant communication is the norm, the deafening silence of loss can be even more pronounced. Notifications keep coming, emails pile up, the virtual world doesn't stop, but for the grieving person, every ping of the phone can be a painful reminder of a person who will no longer respond. Yet Lewis offers us a unique perspective on this fear and pain. He suggests that these intense feelings are in fact a testament to the depth of the love we feel. Grief is the price we pay for love, he reflects. This view allows us to recontextualize our pain, not as a weakness to be overcome, but as an expression of love to be honored. Moreover, in a world that often seeks quick solutions and easy answers, Lewis reminds us of the importance of staying with our questions and doubts. He does not hesitate to question, to express his anger and confusion. This example of brutal honesty can be liberating for many who feel pressured to maintain a facade of strength and acceptance. Therefore, if you are navigating the turbulent waters of grief, know that your fear, your sadness, your anger, all of these feelings are valid. In a world that often seems to demand constant happiness, allow yourself to feel fully. As Lewis teaches us, it is through the recognition and acceptance of these feelings that we can begin our journey towards healing and eventually, the rediscovery of joy. In our modern society, we are often pressured to move on quickly after a loss. Social media bombards us with images of seemingly perfect lives, creating the illusion that sadness is something to be avoided at all costs. Well-meaning friends may tell us to stay strong or get over it. But C.S. Lewis, in his deep wisdom, offers us a different and liberating perspective on grief. Lewis bravely plunged into his pain after the death of his wife Joy. In A Grief Observed, he writes, "Pain now is part of the happiness then. That's the deal." This powerful phrase invites us to see our pain not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a testament to the love we experienced. It's as if Lewis is telling us, it's okay to feel. In fact, feeling deeply is an act of courage and honor. When we allow pain to flow, we are honoring the importance of the person we lost and the depth of our love for them. It's a process that requires courage because it makes us vulnerable. But it's in this vulnerability that we find our shared humanity, and, eventually, the path to healing. Lewis was not afraid to question, to express anger, to feel lost. He wrote, "No one ever told me that grief felt so much like fear." This raw honesty gives us permission to acknowledge the complexity of our emotions. Grief is not a linear or predictable experience. It can surprise us with its intensity, with its unexpected highs and lows. The Bible echoes this wisdom in Ecclesiastes 3:4, reminding us that there is a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. This passage assures us that our emotions, all of them, have their place and purpose. We don't need to rush out of the time to weep. We can dwell in that space, knowing it is a natural and necessary part of the human journey. In our culture of instant gratification and quick fixes, Lewis's approach to grief is revolutionary. He encourages us not to flee from the pain but to explore it, question it, to let it teach us. It's a process that takes time, and Lewis reminds us that it's okay. There is no deadline for grief, no normal to which we must quickly return. By allowing ourselves to feel fully, we open the door to deeper and more authentic healing. Lewis discovered that, over time, his pain transformed. Today I think of H with love, but without the slightest tendency to torment or cry. Only a stream of joyful and grateful memories, all accompanied gratitude. This transformation didn't come from denying or suppressing the pain, from living it fully. So, dear reader, if you are facing a loss, know that your pain is valid. You don't have to hide it or rush through it. As Lewis taught us, there is a profound courage in allowing yourself to feel. Your tears are a tribute to the love you experience. Questions, your anger, confusion, all are part of the journey. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Just as Lewis shared his experience, allowing others to feel less isolated in their pain, you too can find comfort in the community, whether with loved ones, support groups, or in the words of others who have experienced similar losses. Courage to feel is the first step toward healing. It is an act of love, love for the one you lost, and love for yourself. By embracing this courage, you not only honor your loss, but also pave the way for a future where joy and gratitude can coexist with longing. C.S. Lewis's faith was known for its solidity and depth, yet in the face of the devastating loss of his wife Joy, he found himself plunged into a whirlwind of emotions and questions that shook the foundations of his beliefs. This chapter of his life, so painfully exposed in A Grief Observed, offers us a powerful and honest glimpse into the struggle between faith and pain. Where is God? Go to him when your need is desperate, when all other help is vain, and what do you find? A door slammed in your face. Lewis wrote in one of his darkest moments. These words, laden with anguish and despair, echo the feelings of many who face significant losses today. In a world where social media often paints a picture of perfect lives and unshakable faith, Lewis's raw honesty is refreshing and necessary. The paradox of faith manifests in the tension between believing in a loving and omnipotent God and, at the same time, experiencing a pain so deep that it seems incompatible with that belief. Lewis did not shy away from this conflict, confronted it head-on, allowing himself to question, doubt, and even rebel. It's not that I hope, in danger of ceasing to believe in God. The real danger is of coming to believe such dreadful things about him. The conclusion I dread is not, so there's no God after all. So, this is what God is really like. This internal struggle of Lewis reflects the journey of many in our time. In an age of instant information and real-time global tragedies, the question of suffering and God's presence in it becomes even more pressing. How can we reconcile our faith with the reality of pain? Lewis does not offer easy answers but shows us that it is possible, and perhaps necessary, to bring our doubts and our anger to God. The Bible, far from condemning such questioning, is full of examples of people wrestling with God in the midst of pain. Job in his suffering cried out, "Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come to his dwelling." Job 23:3. The psalmist shouts, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Psalm 22:1. These biblical laments validate our struggle and show us that questioning is part of a mature and authentic faith. Through his journey of grief, Lewis discovered that faith is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to continue seeking in the midst of it. He wrote, "Talking of faith as the power to move mountains will not make us fight less. more. This perspective reminds us that faith is a muscle that strengthens through exercise, even when that exercise is painful. As Lewis navigated this rough terrain of faith amid loss, he gradually came to a deeper understanding. Pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. He whispers in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. This view does not diminish the reality of pain, but offers a larger context for understanding it. For us today, Lewis's reflections offer a model of how we can honestly engage with our faith in times of crisis. They give us permission to question, to struggle, and ultimately to find a deeper and more resilient faith on the other side of the storm. As Psalm 34:18 reminds us, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." The paradox of faith, as Lewis shows us, is not something to be resolved, but lived. It is in the tension between our beliefs and our experiences that our faith grows, deepens, and ultimately sustains us through life's darkest valley. Just as the caterpillar transforms into a butterfly through a slow and often painful process, our journey through grief follows a similar path. C.S. Lewis, in his work A Grief Observed, offers us a precious glimpse of this process of transformation. At the beginning of his loss, Lewis described his pain as a war zone, complete chaos. There is nothing to clean up. There is nothing left to clean up. Only silence and emptiness, he wrote. Many of us can relate to this feeling of total desolation. It's as if the world has been turned upside down and we can't find any familiar point of reference. However, as time passed, Lewis began to notice subtle changes. He wrote, "Something very curious happened. The very intensity of the longing I felt for H stripped it of all its lesser aspects." This observation is profound. As grief progresses, we often find that our memory of the loved one becomes purer, more essential. The small irritations and day-to-day disagreements fade away, leaving only the core of the love we shared. Lewis continues, "Today I think of H with love, but without the slightest tendency to torment or cry. Only a stream of joyful and grateful memories, all accompanied by gratitude." This transformation does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process, often imperceptible, until we look back and realize how far we have come. In our current society, where everything seems to happen at breakneck speed, the slowness of this process can be frustrating. We live in an era of quick fixes and instant results. We want a magic pill to heal our pain, a shortcut to acceptance. But grief doesn't work that way. It follows its own rhythm, unique to each person. Lewis reminds us that this journey is not linear. There will be good days and bad days, moments of peace and moments of renewed anguish. Grief, he observes, is like a long winding road on a mountain. Each bend you think it's finally over, then the road turns and there it is again. But it is precisely on this winding journey, metamorphosis occurs. Every turn, every steep climb, every dizzying descent molds and transforms us. Gradually, we learn to carry our loss not as a crushing burden, but as an integral part of who we have become. As we advance in this process, we may begin to notice subtle changes in ourselves. Perhaps we become more compassionate toward the suffering of others, more aware of the preciousness of each moment. Perhaps we develop a new appreciation for life, for the people around us, for the small joys that once went unnoticed. Lewis reached a point where he could say, "I have found that I am not suffering less, but enjoying more." This statement may seem impossible in the height of pain, but it offers a precious hope. It suggests that over time, we can learn not only to live with our loss, to find a new form of joy and gratitude for the life we had with our loved one. This metamorphosis of pain does not mean forgetting or getting over our loss. On the contrary, it means integrating that loss into our lives in a way that allows us to continue living, loving, and even finding joy. It is a transformation that allows us to honor those we have lost, not only through our sadness, but through the way we choose to live our lives moving forward. Just as the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis, we can emerge from our pain transformed, not diminished by loss, but enriched by the depth of the love we experienced and the strength we discovered in ourselves as we faced this difficult journey. I have found that I am not suffering less, but enjoying more. These words from C.S. Lewis written in the midst of his journey through grief, catch us by surprise. How can someone who has experienced such profound loss speak of enjoying life more? It is here that Lewis's wisdom shines most brightly, offering us a transformative perspective on how to deal with loss in our modern age. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by images of perfect happiness on social media, where success is measured by visible achievements, and where sadness is often seen as a weakness to be hidden, Lewis's words are a refreshing balm. They remind us that life is far more complex and rich than Instagram filters can capture. Lewis is not saying that the pain magically disappeared. Far from it. What he is describing is a profound change in his perception of life. It's as if loss had sharpened his senses, making him more aware of the beauty and value of each moment. It's as if, having experienced the depths of pain, he could now appreciate the heights of joy with renewed intensity. This idea of Lewis echoes what many modern psychologists call post-traumatic growth. It is the notion that, after going through deeply challenging experiences, we have the potential not only to recover but to grow and develop in ways we would not have imagined before. In our current culture, where the pursuit of constant happiness has become almost an obligation, Lewis's message is particularly powerful. He shows us that true joy is not the absence of pain, but the ability to embrace life in all its complexity. It's being able to feel gratitude for a stunning sunset, even when the heart still aches. It's genuinely laughing at a joke, even when tears are still fresh on our faces. Lewis invites us to a deeper and more authentic way of living. Instead of seeking constant distractions or trying to get over our pain quickly, he encourages us to integrate it into our lives. Loss, seen from this perspective, is not just an obstacle to be overcome, but an experience that can enrich our appreciation of life. This does not mean romanticizing pain or denying its devastating impact. Lewis was brutally honest about the suffering he experienced, but he discovered that, paradoxically, it was through this suffering that he rediscovered the ability to marvel, to be moved, connect deeply. In our age of instant gratification and quick solutions, Lewis's journey reminds us that some of the most significant transformations take time. The rediscovery of joy does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process, often imperceptible day by day, but profound when we look back. For those of us navigating loss today, Lewis's words offer hope. They assure us that, while the pain may never completely disappear, it does not have to define or limit us. On the contrary, it can become the lens through which we see life with new clarity and appreciation. So, how can we apply this wisdom to our daily lives? Perhaps it begins with small acts of mindfulness. Truly savoring a cup of coffee, marveling at the laughter of a child, appreciating the texture of a leaf. It may mean keeping a gratitude journal, noting not only the big joys but also the small moments of beauty that often go unnoticed. As we practice this more conscious way of living, we may discover, like Lewis, that our capacity to enjoy life has not diminished but actually expanded. Pain and joy, far from being opposites, become intertwined parts of a life fully lived, with an open heart to all its experiences. What we call love on one side of death, all grief on the other side. These words of C.S. Lewis invite us to a deep reflection on the nature of love and loss. In our current society, where we often seek quick ways to get over grief, this perspective offers us a radically different approach. Imagine for a moment that grief is not something to be overcome, but rather a continuation of the love we feel. It is as if love, instead of disappearing with the departure of a loved one, transforms into a new form of expression. This view can completely change the way we approach our pain. Lewis, in his work, A Grief Observed, written after the death of his wife Joy, shows us how grief can be a journey of discovery and even a deepening of love. He writes, "Her absence is like the sky, spreading over everything." This poetic image reminds us that the absence of a loved one can, paradoxically, make their presence even more palpable in our lives. In our digital age, where we are constantly bombarded by images of happiness and success, it can be difficult to find space to express and live our grief. Social media, for example, is not always a welcoming environment for expressing pain. However, it is crucial to remember that grief is a natural and important part of the human experience. Lewis teaches us that embracing grief does not mean living in constant sadness. On the contrary, it means honoring the love we feel by allowing it to continue shaping our lives in meaningful ways. He observes, I may love an absent friend better than a present one, perhaps, for no reality will alter, destroy. Beautiful illusion. This reflection reminds us that love, even after loss, can continue to grow and deepen. In a world that often seeks quick solutions to emotional pain, Lewis's approach is revolutionary. He invites us to see grief not as a problem to be solved, but as a continuous expression of love. This does not mean that we should cling to pain, but rather allow it to transform us and enrich our lives. The Bible also offers us perspectives on grief that resonate with Lewis's ideas. In John 11:35, we have the famous passage, Jesus wept, showing us that even the divine experienced and expressed grief. This reminds us that our tears are sacred, and that grief is an important part of our humanity. By embracing grief as a form of love, we can discover new dimensions in ourselves and in our relationships with others. We can become more compassionate, more aware of the preciousness of life, and more connected with those around us. Lewis writes, pain is not the end of love, it is one of its forms. This legacy of love that grief offers us can manifest in various ways in our lives. It can inspire us to live more fully, to value our relationships more deeply, or to seek ways to honor the memory of those we have lost through meaningful action. So, dear reader, if you are going through the grieving process, remember, your pain is a testament to the love you feel. It is not something to be ashamed of or hidden, but rather honored and embraced. As Lewis taught us, grief can be a journey of discovery, growth, and even deeper love. May we all find the courage to live our grief fully, allowing it to transform and enrich our lives. For as Lewis so beautifully expressed, love and grief are two sides of the same precious coin, our ability to connect deeply with others and the world around us. Dear reader, if you have come this far, carrying the weight of loss in your heart, I want you to know that your journey is valued and your pain is understood. Wherever you are at this moment, whether in the deep abyss of recent sorrow or in the hesitant steps toward healing, remember, you are not alone in this walk. C.S. Lewis, in his work A Grief Observed, gifts us with a profound insight into grief. I think I shall never recover. I don't want to recover. Not now, at least. These words echo the reality of many who face loss. It is natural, it is human not to want to get over it quickly. Your pain is a testament to the love you feel, and there's no deadline for processing it. However, as time passes, you may notice subtle changes. As Lewis observed later, today I think of H with love, but without the slightest tendency to torment or cry. Only a stream of joyful and grateful memories, all accompanied by gratitude. This is not a destination we reach suddenly, but a gradual journey of transformation. In our digital age, where everything seems to happen in the blink of an eye, it is crucial to remember that the healing of the heart follows its own rhythm. Don't rush, don't compare yourself. Your journey is unique, just as the love you shared was unique. The Bible offers us comfort in Psalm 34:18, saying, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." In moments of deep loneliness, when the world seems to spin without you, remember these words. There is a greater presence, a deeper love that sustains us, even when we cannot feel it. Lewis, in his journey through grief, came to a surprising conclusion. I have found that I am not suffering less, but enjoying more. This revelation does not mean that the pain disappeared, but that he learned to coexist with moments of joy. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a glimpse of the hope that awaits us. Imagine your life as a mosaic. The loss you experienced is a piece of that mosaic, significant, painful, indelible. But it is not the entire piece. There is room for new experiences, new connections, new moments of joy that will intertwine with your precious memories, creating a unique and beautiful pattern. As you move forward day by day, allow yourself to rediscover the world. Perhaps you will notice the beauty of a sunset with renewed intensity. Perhaps an act of kindness from a stranger will touch your heart in an unexpected way. These are the first rays of a new dawn in your life. Lewis reminds us, what we call love on one side of death, call grief on the other side. Your grief is a continuous expression of the love you feel. Honor that love by living fully, compassion for yourself and others, and finally, hold on to hope. The Bible assures us in Revelation 21 verse 4 that there will come a day when God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Until then, allow yourself to feel, to grow, and yes, even to find moments of unexpected joy. You are stronger than you imagine. Your story is not over. In fact, a new chapter is just beginning. The journey through loss can transform us, making us deeper, more compassionate, more grateful for life and the love we have experienced. But take a deep breath. Take one step at a time. Allow yourself to be surprised by the beauty that still exists in the world. And who knows, maybe like Lewis, you too will be surprised by the joy that is yet to come. Your heart, though marked by loss, has an infinite capacity for love and for life. This is your new dawn. Embrace it with courage, with hope, and with the knowledge that you carry within you the strength to face each new day.